America's top tourist cities are turning into ghost towns, and the world is watching. Billions of dollars are evaporating. Iconic destinations like Las Vegas, Miami, and Orlando are empty, and the global message is loud and clear. America is no longer welcome. But why? International travelers are canceling in droves, airlines are cutting routes, and entire economies are falling apart. All of it connects back to one seismic shift: policies that made America feel hostile, closed off, and uninviting. This isn't just about travel, it's about perception, reputation, and economic survival. And it's happening faster than anyone expected. Las Vegas, a city built on energy, entertainment, and extravagance, is now disturbingly quiet. Once the go-to destination for high-rolling international tourists, Vegas is struggling to survive. The impact is visible at every level. Casino floors echo with emptiness, luxury suites go unbooked, and major events are getting canceled. And it all started with policies that scared the world away. Trump's America First stance turned into tourists last. Aggressive trade wars and stricter visa regulations, particularly for Chinese and Middle Eastern visitors, triggered a massive decline in foreign arrivals. For Vegas, where international tourists spend significantly more than domestic travelers, this was an economic gut punch. Macau, often dubbed the Vegas of the East, saw the opportunity and took it. With friendlier policies and open arms, it quickly overtook Las Vegas in gaming revenue, out-earning it by over 300%. The wealthy gamblers who once flew first class to Nevada are now flocking to Asia, where they feel safer, more welcome, and far less scrutinized. The city's decline didn't happen overnight, but the shift was swift. When international conventions stopped arriving, when the high rollers stayed away, and when news of U.S. visa horror stories went viral, Las Vegas became less of a dream and more of a hassle. Suddenly, a trip to the Strip was no longer the bucket list adventure it used to be. It's not just about the glitz and glamour. Behind the scenes, service workers, hotel staff, performers, and business owners are feeling the fallout. Convention centers that once brought in billions are now dark. Trade shows, tech expos, and international summits are being relocated or outright canceled due to complex visa delays and fear of entry denials. The consequences ripple outward. Entire supply chains, from catering to event staging to transportation, are collapsing. Local vendors, transportation services, florists, and freelancers are losing steady gigs. Las Vegas is offering desperate incentives, free flights, heavy hotel discounts, and VIP packages to lure travelers back. But the damage is done. Perception is hard to change once it takes root. Miami used to be the crown jewel of Latin American tourism. With vibrant beaches, world-class shopping, and cultural ties to countries like Brazil, Colombia, and Venezuela, it attracted millions each year. But that story has changed dramatically, and politics is at the center of the shift. Trump's hardline rhetoric and policies targeting Latin America, especially travel restrictions on Cuba, harsh immigration enforcement, and threats of walls and sanctions, created a deep feeling of hostility. That feeling translated into action. Latin American tourists began canceling their plans en masse. The numbers are brutal. Brazilian tourism to Miami dropped by over 60%. Venezuelan and Colombian travelers, once core pillars of Miami's visitor economy, are now choosing destinations like Spain and Portugal. Cruise lines, once staples of Miami's economy, have started rerouting ships to avoid U.S. ports altogether. What was once a symbol of multicultural celebration has turned into a place many no longer feel safe or wanted. Local businesses that relied on tourist dollars are closing down. High-end boutiques in Brickell are sitting empty. Tour buses now drive past half-vacant hotels. Restaurants that once stayed packed late into the night are cutting staff and hours just to survive. The damage isn't just economic, it's emotional. The Latin American community once viewed Miami as an extension of their own cultures. Now, many say they feel betrayed. The image of America as a welcoming land of opportunity has cracked, replaced by one of suspicion and exclusion. In response, Miami has tried to reboot its appeal, launching campaigns in Spanish and Portuguese, offering travel deals, even quietly distancing itself from national policies. But rebuilding trust takes time, and many wonder if the visitors who left will ever return. Orlando used to be synonymous with magic. It was the city where families from every continent came to make memories. From Mickey Mouse to roller coasters, the experience was iconic. But now, streets that once buzzed with families in matching t-shirts are eerily quiet. The magic is disappearing, and it's not just because of high ticket prices. When Trump introduced travel bans and cracked down on immigration, the effects rippled across Orlando's theme park industry. International families, especially from Muslim-majority and Latin American countries, began to worry. What if they were detained? What if they were turned away at the border or separated from loved ones? Suddenly, a family trip to Disney World became a gamble, not worth the risk. And it shows. International attendance at Disney parks is down by more than 40%. Attractions that used to require hours of waiting are now walk-ons. Entire cast member departments have been downsized. Universal Studios laid off 1,500 workers. That's not a statistic. It's hundreds of real people with families, suddenly without income. And it doesn't stop at the parks. Orlando's tourism economy is built like dominoes. Hotels, shuttle companies, restaurants, souvenir shops. They all rely on a steady flow of visitors. When the flow stopped, the whole system wobbled. Brazilian tour groups who once made up nearly a fifth of visitors are now choosing Disneyland Paris or Tokyo Disney. Those destinations are welcoming, easy to navigate, and, most importantly, don't come with political baggage. America's theme parks no longer feel like neutral ground. They feel like a risk. Parents want their children to feel joy and safety on vacation, but many say they now feel judged, scrutinized, and unwanted when they try to enter the U.S. It's not just a marketing problem. It's a human one. For Orlando, the consequences are enormous. And just like the magic that used to define the city, international trust is something you can't buy back with a coupon or a promo code. One of the biggest barriers keeping international tourists away from the United States isn't the flights or the cost. It's the visa process. For many, it's become a bureaucratic nightmare, full of paperwork, long waits, and the looming fear of rejection. What was once a formality is now a gamble, and it's one that fewer and fewer people are willing to take. Under the Trump administration, the visa approval process became stricter, slower, and far less predictable. Applications were subjected to enhanced scrutiny, background checks expanded, and interviews became more invasive. Even seasoned travelers with clean records found themselves denied without clear explanations. The system became opaque and intimidating. The message? You're not welcome. For millions of would-be travelers, the experience was demoralizing. Families were split up, honeymoons were canceled, students and business professionals were forced to abandon plans. And unlike other countries that streamlined their visa process to attract more visitors, the United States seemed determined to shut its doors. Countries with large outbound tourism markets like China, India, Brazil, and even Canada began to see drastic drops in US-bound travel. Not because people didn't want to visit, but because it became too risky, too stressful, and too uncertain. Other destinations, from Europe to Southeast Asia, seized the opportunity by simplifying their visa processes and advertising themselves as safer alternatives. It's not just about missing vacations, it's about missed business deals, lost academic exchanges, and broken personal milestones. The rigid visa policies didn't just close borders, they closed doors to opportunity. Even worse, stories of travelers being detained at U.S. airports, separated from families, or deported went viral across social media. The perception that the U.S. had become hostile to foreigners spread fast, and it stuck. The irony? Many of these people weren't coming to stay. They were coming to spend. Billions of dollars, gone. Because a stamp on a passport became too hard to get. America used to sell itself as the land of dreams, diverse, dynamic, and welcoming. For decades, that promise fueled global interest in American culture, from Hollywood to Wall Street to Disney World. But that image has taken a brutal hit. And it's not just policy, it's perception. Travelers talk, families share stories, and when enough people post online about their horrible airport experience or denied visa, the message becomes loud and clear. You're not wanted here. During the Trump years, the U.S. made headlines worldwide, not just for its policies, but for how those policies were enforced. Viral stories of travelers being detained, searched, or turned away at the border created a global PR crisis. Whether it was a grandmother visiting family, a student with a scholarship, or a couple on vacation, the pattern was the same: confusion, fear, and rejection. News networks picked it up, social media amplified it, and just like that, a reputation built over decades was unraveling in real time. Even travelers from friendly countries like the United Kingdom, Germany, or Japan began rethinking their plans. Why risk it? Became a common refrain. There are easier, friendlier options. Why go to a place where you might be interrogated or made to feel like a threat? This shift in perception wasn't temporary. It became embedded. And the consequences weren't limited to tourism. It affected business, education, and even diplomatic relations. When a country is seen as unwelcoming, it loses more than just visitors, it loses influence. Meanwhile, countries like Canada, France, and Australia leaned into openness. Their tourist numbers soared as the United States declined. The world didn't stop traveling, it just stopped traveling to America. Fixing this isn't about advertising campaigns or flashy slogans. It's about rebuilding trust. And right now, that trust is broken. Many people around the world still love what America represents, but they don't feel the love in return. Until that changes, they'll continue spending their money and making memories somewhere else. New York City, the city that never sleeps, has long been the crown jewel of American tourism. From Times Square to Central Park, Broadway shows to world-class museums, it's been a bucket list destination for millions. But even this iconic city couldn't escape the fallout from America's shifting reputation. International tourism was once the lifeblood of NYC's economy. In 2018 alone, more than 13 million foreign visitors poured into the city, spending billions on hotels, restaurants, shopping, and entertainment. It was more than sightseeing, it was economic fuel. But then the numbers started to drop. As visa approvals declined and America's image dimmed, those packed sightseeing buses started looking a lot emptier. Theater seats once sold out months in advance were now available at a discount. Flagship stores in Soho and Fifth Avenue saw fewer shoppers. Entire neighborhoods, especially in Manhattan, began to feel quieter. And the decline wasn't just visible, it was measurable. By 2019, international visitor numbers had already taken a significant hit, and the pandemic only accelerated the trend. But long before lockdowns, something else was keeping tourists away. The sense that they weren't welcome anymore. Business travelers from Asia canceled trips due to visa delays. Student groups from Europe rebooked to Canada. Honeymooners from Brazil swapped New York for Paris. The reasons varied, but the result was the same: less spending, fewer jobs, and more empty tables. Behind the glamorous skyline is a deeply interconnected economy. When tourism drops, everything suffers. Hotel cleaners, street vendors, subway operators, tour guides, waiters, performers. The ripple effect touches every borough, every industry, and every family depending on tourism to make ends meet. What's heartbreaking is that New York hasn't changed. The lights still shine. The city still buzzes with energy. But the people who used to fill it from around the world? They're going elsewhere. And unless the broader perception of America shifts, no amount of local charm will be enough to bring them back. This isn't just about Las Vegas, Miami, Orlando, or New York. The truth is, America's entire tourism infrastructure is cracking under the weight of policies that were never designed with global visitors in mind. What began as travel bans, visa tightening, and immigration crackdowns has spiraled into a national reputation crisis, and it's hitting the economy where it hurts most. Tourism supports over 15 million jobs in the U.S., directly and indirectly. From airport employees to rideshare drivers, restaurant owners to retail staff, tour guides to performers, millions of Americans rely on global visitors to make a living. When the flow of tourists slows down, the entire system staggers. And it's not just about international arrivals. When America is seen as unwelcoming, even domestic travel starts to shift. Conferences get moved, international business deals fall through, cultural exchanges dry up. The loss goes beyond tourism. It's also a loss of influence, empathy, and global connection. There's a hidden irony here. America remains one of the most desired destinations in the world. People still dream of visiting. But between fear of rejection, horror stories at the border, and the emotional cost of feeling unwanted, that dream is now more difficult to justify. Other countries saw this and capitalized. Canada, Mexico, the EU, they didn't wait. They welcomed the same travelers who used to fill American airports and theme parks. And in doing so, they captured billions in spending and long-term loyalty. Meanwhile, the US is left asking, how did we get here? The answer is clear. Policy and perception go hand in hand. When leadership paints outsiders as threats, walls go up. Not just physical ones, but emotional ones. And tearing those down will take more than one election cycle. Reversing this trend means rebuilding relationships, revising policies, and reclaiming the core values that once made the United States the world's most welcoming nation. Because at this rate, America isn't just losing tourism, it's losing trust. Now it's your turn. Have you, or someone you know, decided not to visit the United States because of these changes? We want to hear your story. Drop a comment below and let the world know how these policies are affecting real people. If you believe America should be open, safe, and welcoming again, smash that like button. Subscribe for more content that digs deeper into what's really happening and how we can fix it. And share this video. The more people understand what's at stake, the better chance we have at turning things around. Your voice matters. Let's rebuild the magic.